Hello, 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 and welcome to the second episode of Mixed Media Reviews Season 4. My name is Kelsey, and today I'm going to be talking about a TV show. This week's TV show is School Spirits. I saw this pop up when it first came out on Paramount Plus and figured I'd give it a go. I hadn't heard anything about it previously, but it looked like something I'd be into. Google has the following summary. Maddie is a teen girl stuck in the afterlife, investigating her own mysterious disappearance. She goes on a crime-solving journey as she adjusts to school in the afterlife, but the closer she gets to the truth, the more secrets and lies she discovers. Oh my goodness, you guys. I love this show so much, and I so hated having to wait every single week for the next episode to come out. Every Friday while I worked from home, I'd pop it on. That and that like Wolfpack show, which was terrible, but maybe I'll do an episode on it eventually anyway. But then I'd have to rewatch it actually, so I don't know about that. But eventually I had to stop watching during work because I realized it was hard for me to focus on working. So it ended up being like an after work treat since Fridays are half days for me anyway. And don't worry, Wolfpack was still keeping me company because no one actually needed to really see it. I mean, I love Sarah Michelle Gellar, but that was not a great show. Anyway, so first up, back to School Spirits. First up, let's talk about the episode titles. I loved them. And My So-Called Death, Seance Anything, Grave, The Last Dance, like super solid title names. They fit so well. It's made even better by all the, oh God, I don't want to say it, but like, I have to say it, but I don't know that I'm cringing, but it's the retro 90s clothes. Ugh, gross. That's not retro because that was just 10 years ago, right? And no one's going to convince me otherwise. That was 10 years ago. We're moving on. Anyway, yeah, so the kind of like 90s vibe clothing really mixed well with all of these title names, and the whole show kind of had like this 90s vibe to it, which, I mean, I'm here for it. Now, let's talk about the characters. I loved all of the characters in the show, and I think both the alive and the dead cast did a terrific job. I like that we slowly got some backstory about both groups of the people, and we dove more into Maddie's life. But we also dove a bit more into the lives of her alive friends and her dead friends. Every episode, we kind of got to see more and more bits and pieces that were coming together, and it was really intriguing to find how the characters fit, the backstories of like the ghosts and how they died, and their kind of dynamics between themselves within the group and with other people outside of the group. That was really interesting. And I also liked that like all of her friends basically also had these secrets that were kind of coming out, and you're kind of discovering that like what you thought was the truth, maybe not quite the truth. And it was really, really well done. I think being able to dive into Maddie's kind of upfront main story, but also having these little side stories go on. Of course, we love Wally. I think his name is Milo Manheim. He's from the zombie movies. He's like such a lovable golden retriever in this show. Super adorable. But I think every character is great from, a story point of view. Even the ones that we hate are fantastic in it, which is great television. You want to love the ones you hate. I also really liked that all the ghosts were from different decades, so they had like different fashion and different lingo that they used. It was all really well done. The soundtrack was also super awesome. So many good fitting songs, and also just good songs in general. I also loved how it was shot, the cinematography, lots of unique and kind of cool transitions between the shots, between past and present. A lot of the shots were dynamic and kind of not still. Like they moved with the environment, and it was a bit more interactive. It makes for a more exciting watch, I think. And it was just really well done. Everything that they pieced together, like I already mentioned, the clothing, but all the clothing that they did, the songs, the way that it was shot, the writing, I think, it was all really well done. Like I said, the writing was perfect. We got so many twists and turns and false starts and different endings that we thought we were going to get. I had so many theories, and like none of them ended up panning out really, or at least not panning out in the way that I thought they were going to be panning out, if that makes sense. And this could be a vague spoiler, but I don't, it's vague in that, I don't know. I was very stunned by the ending. I did not see it coming, so not really a spoiler, but like maybe a spoiler. But I mean, you don't know what I was thinking. I could have thought different things. So, yes, generally stunned at the ending. It was really, really good. There are a lot of, like I said before, a lot of different side stories going on and like underlying mysteries. We have a lot of different characters that we get a chance to kind of delve into throughout the season. And, as we are diving deeper into their lives, we continue to get more weird vibes and scenes that kind of set up larger things to come. And while we get some answers in the first season, we get some bigger questions in the finale as well. And I really like that. I like that we kind of get more things answered, and that the questions that arise aren't necessarily like, they're not like plot hole type of questions, but like they're setting up a bigger reveal later on. And I can't wait for season 2 to see what the answers to these really big questions that kind of have developed and grown over the course of the first season. Okay, so I know I've been gushing, but there were a few oddities, I will say, that stood out to me. And that's mostly with some of the creepy ghost stuff that happens. Like, in the first episode, Charlie says his office is the men's shower, and that's a bit creepy. He does make a comment that it's something akin to, like, don't try to say that this is predatory behavior, because what am I going to do? Which, okay, fair point, but also not entirely a fair point, because there's not giving you consent to see them in the shower. It's still pretty creepy. And yes, he is from the 90s, so I guess you can say different era kind of a thing. But Maddie's still there, and she should have called him out. And she is, so there's a lot going on with her at that point. She's realizing she's dead, and she's trying to figure out exactly what's happening. But I don't know. It's still really creepy, and there's no pushback from it, which I feel like there maybe should be. And then there's another scene in the second episode where Rhonda says she's measured more than just hair plugs. Like, these ghosts are such freaking creeps. Maybe they've just been ghosts for so long that, like, morals get weird, or they're just bored at this point, but it's definitely gross and creepy. And that could be okay, right? But I mean, like I said, it could be because ghosts get really bored and, like, your morals start getting a little blurry, and maybe, that's just standard par for the course as a ghost. But there's no real resistance from Maddie in either of these situations, and she has neither been a ghost for so long to have wavering morals or become that bored to not care. So I don't know, it's not like a real critique, it's not a real thing, but it is weird, and I kind of wish there was a bit more like maybe don't do that. Like, we get a scene where her best friend Simon makes a comment like, this is kind of spoilery, but so maybe, I don't know. But he makes a comment kind of about like, oh, I hope you don't like pop up in like the restroom when I'm around. Like, and she's like, what? No. And so like, at least he's thinking about like, these ghosts are friggin' creeps. Again, this isn't really a critique, just something I didn't really like, I guess. I mean, if you're a ghost, there's really no consequences, so maybe who cares what you do? And no one would typically ever know, except for in this weird situation. But still, I mean, it's weird, right? Am I the only one who got creeped out by it? Anyway, I am so ecstatic that I got picked up for a second season. You never know with these streaming shows nowadays. I think I've seen videos that the cast, like they're filming like little TikToks and things like that. So I think they're currently filming, and I believe it's expected to come out in fall of this year, in fall 2024. So that's awesome. I mean, it sucks that that's still many months away, but at least there's a potential date, and there's stuff happening. And I also saw that it recently came to Netflix. I'm not sure what that means. Probably just that there's some kind of deal and now they're showing it on Netflix, because I'm pretty sure it's still Paramount Plus and it'll still come out. Season 2 will still come out on Paramount Plus. But yes, I am very excited for it to come out. I'm not sure if they plan on wrapping up the big storylines or if they're planning on another season, but I believe it all was originally supposed to be at least 2 seasons. So I am here for whatever they want to give us. And there you have it. Those are my thoughts on School Spirits. Thank you so much for joining me. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr at Mixed Media Reviews Podcast. Please leave me a comment to let me know if you agreed, disagreed, if you have any suggestions, or just want to say hi. You can also find me anywhere you find your podcasts, probably. Please join me next week where I'm going to be reviewing a movie, Night Swim. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye!